No one could remember temperatures of over 100 degrees in Fall River. Andrew Bordon, Lizzie's father, had taken to selling eggs on the street corner for pennies. There was a certain coldness about him. He was the wealthiest man in Fall River. He began as an undertaker, and he was an immediate success. He then bought property which he rented. Sometimes he took over bank foreclosures. Andrew scrimped and saved and acquired a tremendous fortune. The Bordon house had only one toilet, and running water on each floor was a luxury they didn't have. The house was lighted by kerosene, and Andrew would sit in the dark to conserve on kerosene. Lizzie had an aviary with pigeons that Andrew despised. He was writing a will that excluded his daughters, Lizzie and Emma. He was planning to place his farm in his wife's name. Their father's secrecy enraged them. This woman was their stepmother, Abby. She was a short, squat woman weighing 200 pounds and not very attractive, and she took charge of the household. Lizzie had not known her real mother. She had died when Lizzie was 2 years old. Lizzie and her sister were to be disinherited and replaced by a woman that meant nothing to them. Lizzie was a typical Victorian woman, laced up by tight corsets. She was 32 and not beautiful, and unemployed, unmarried, but she did teach Sunday school classes for children. She was frequently depressed, and her eyes filled up with tears. She was destined to be a spinster, dependent on her father's fortune. Emma Bordon, Lizzie's sister, was described as being shy and plain-looking for a 43-year-old spinster. Andrew was preparing his will soon. Lizzie had to act quickly. Lizzie decided to poison their dinner by adding arsenic to the brew. Abby and Andrew became violently ill, vomiting constantly. Abby said they had been poisoned, but Andrew would hear nothing of it. He didn't want to pay for a doctor or believe Abby. The arsenic didn't work, and they lived. Lizzie would find another way to kill her parents. Lizzie and the maid were the only ones home the day of the murders. The maid was seen washing windows all day. Abby was killed first, and an hour passed before Andrew was killed. How could the murder stay in the house for that long and not be detected? Lizzie gave conflicting testimony, raising questions about her guilt. But Lizzie might have been under the influence of morphine, and that's why her story kept changing. Lizzie told the police that she was in the barn at the time of the murders, but the floor in the barn was covered with dust and free of footprints. They suspected she was lying. Lizzie was seen burning a dress that she said had paint on it and was of no use. Her demeanor was phlegmatic and unemotional. Lizzie was arrested and spent 10 days in jail. Lizzie entered a plea of not guilty. The trial lasted for 14 days. 12 men would decide her fate. The prosecutor told the court Lizzie should not expect leniency just because she was a woman. A hatchet covered in ashes was found with the handle broken off. The prosecutor was certain Lizzie had burned the wooden handle along with her dress. There was a theory that Lizzie suffered temporal lobe seizures during her menstrual cycle. She would enter an altered state of consciousness that would have allowed her to unknowingly commit the murders. She was found not guilty. 5 weeks after the trial, Lizzie and Emma purchased a 13-room Victorian house in the choice part of town. It was rumored Lizzie decapitated Abby's cat because it was annoying Lizzie's guests during tea. In 1904, Lizzie had an affair with an actress named Nance O'Neill for 2 years. Emma moved out because she didn't like their involvement. When the Bordon daughters died, they left all of their estates to charitable causes. Lizzie left hers to animal care organizations. Lizzie Bordon took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.